Hey everybody, happy Monday. So first of all, I just wanted to say this book right here, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, this book is awesome. This is a game changer. I don't know if you've ever read anything and realized as you're reading it that like this is where the authors of all of the other books that you've ever read almost were getting their information. I mean, and this book is packed. You can take one chapter and literally I know as I'm reading it like entire other books that I've already read that have been written just based off of one chapter of this book. Particularly the part that I'm working on now and looking at has to do with, time management and self-management. Somebody commented the other day, I was going to say complimented, but it wasn't even really a compliment. Somebody commented the other day on my new disciplined lifestyle, which now that I think of it is kind of offensive. I guess they thought I was undisciplined before. I don't know. We're good if you're watching this. But what I said then and what I'm thinking now and what I'm saying now is, discipline is the opposite of what I'm going for right now. Discipline has always just let me down. And I've said this to a couple of people, but discipline lets you down every time. And of course, people that I've said that to get like a weird look on their face and they're like, well, what do you mean? Well, how's discipline working out for you so far? Do you have everything that you want? Has discipline allowed you to do everything that you want to do? And usually they're like, well, no, it has, but if I was more disciplined, then I can do this, right? And that's what most people do. And that's what most people kind of resort to is, I want to do this. So what do I have to do? I have to be more disciplined. And that's tough, in the Compound Effect, another great book that I read and I shared some stuff from a few weeks ago. They don't call it discipline. They talk about willpower, basically used the same way. Most of the time when I hear discipline, the definition of that word that I hear is synonymous with willpower. And it says, willpower is similar to if you had a bear that was trying to get into a picnic basket saying, well, I'm going to put this napkin over this picnic basket and that's going to keep the bear out of it, right? Discipline is a pretty weak, pretty thin layer that might work for a few seconds or a few minutes or a few days, and then it usually fades out, right? In the Compound Effect, they talk about, why power versus willpower. And that's a pretty cool, concept. And it's a good concept, and frankly, it works. The whole book, The Compound Effect, they talk about, habits, basically. And obviously this book that I'm reading now is called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. So a lot of the same concepts. I think the big thing, though, whether you go with the willpower definition or how you look at it, you have to redefine how you look at discipline. And discipline doesn't really let you down every time. That's just something that I said, and I got these people's attention and made them go, well, what do you mean? Discipline doesn't let you down every time. Discipline works when it works. But think of all the times that it hasn't worked, right? You need something else. You need something better. Or you at least need to redefine the way you think about discipline. The word discipline comes from the word disciple. Most people know what disciple means. Disciple means, follower. So if you are disciplined, you are a follower of your principles, your values, whatever it may be. What you need to do is you need to discover, what are your principles? What are your values? And follow those. And that goes back to the why power. Why would I want to, wake up at 5 a.m.? Why would I want to do 250 push-ups a day? Why would I want to read 30 pages a day? And the other thing is too, when you go back to those principles, or at least for me, I've gone back to those principles as I'm reading this book. I'm like, I don't want to read 30 pages a day. This book is packed. I read like 2 pages and then I take like 2 pages worth of notes and I think about, 15 people that I want to share this with. And I think about like, I have to get on Facebook Live and do a video like this one I'm doing right now. I mean, it even says in the book within 48 hours of, you should read this book, it says, with the understanding that within 48 hours of reading each part, you're going to share with someone. You should read this book, and as you're reading it, you should think about, this is who I'm going to share this with. And it's packed with stuff like that. So, discipline would tell me I have to read 30 pages of the book. I made a commitment to it. But, in this case, I can read 5 pages and then go and do 16 other activities that are going to improve my life and fit in with my values, fit in with my principles, and are going to keep me going in that direction. So you got to think about why you were doing what you were doing in the first place, right? You also have to evaluate and make sure that it actually is getting you closer to that why, or to that purpose, or those values and those principles, and that it's not just the evil one knocking in your ear with an excuse not to do something. But the other big thing that I wanted to talk about is this whole time management thing. Time management is something that I've worked on for years. The work that I've done on it has done a lot for me. What is time management? That's another thing. People tell me oh, you're great at time management. Again, they don't really know what I'm doing anyways, but whatever. They oh, you're great at time management, but I can't do that, or I don't want to do that because that just seems it's too trapped. I feel too trapped by a schedule and always somebody telling me where I need to be and what I need to do at all times. Well, first of all, I'm the one that tells me where I need to be and what I need to do at all times. So it's not somebody else. So let me just back up, right? So we need to define time management. And I like the definition of time management that's in the book here. And I have to read it. I'm looking at my notes. Organize and execute around priorities. The best explanation of time management is organizing and executing around priorities. Okay? But a lot of people think about time management and they just think about the organized. They think about calendars and notes and checklists and all of that. And of course, that's part of it. But what time management is, because you can't really manage time, at least not in any way that any of us have really figured out how to do. Time kind of just goes by itself, but you can manage yourself. So time management is self-management. And let me look at my notes here, what I had written down. The key is in that definition of organize and execute priorities is the priorities part. You set those priorities. Nobody else is telling you what to do. You're telling yourself what to do. So are you telling yourself what to do, where to go, when to do these things based on your priorities and in order of your priorities? And that goes back to your values, your vision, your principles. We have to prioritize. We have to be a disciple to our priorities. We have to be a disciple to our priorities. We have to do what we say we're going to do when we say we're going to do it. That's the commitment to time management. Calendars and, Google calendars and, Apple Watch notifications and reminders and checklists and notes and all of this stuff. These are all just supposed to be tools to aid you in the execution of your priorities, which you've already organized into a schedule. Because what most people do is they have maybe a vague idea of what their priorities are, but they just go around reacting from, phone call or text message or, the kids asking for stuff, and they just bounce around all day long. There's no organization for starters. They're executing on things that aren't priorities, and the priorities never happen. And then the next thing you know, it's been, 20 years and you don't even remember what some of those priorities were. And then you lie to yourself and tell yourself you have a different set of priorities than what you actually would have had if you would have sat down, thought about it, organized those priorities, and then executed them. So that's what I'm working on now, today, every day, is focusing on those priorities, those principles, those values that I have, organizing my time around those things, and then executing. It's not about discipline necessarily. You have to set yourself up to be able to execute on those priorities. You have to organize things in a way that it's not difficult before, during, and after that thing that you really want to be doing, that priority. If something is difficult before, during, and after doing it, there's a problem. something's wrong. That thing may not have been a priority. Working out is a priority. A lot of people would consider it a discipline. Sometimes it's a little bit tough before to get yourself up into the gym or wherever you're going. It's usually tough during if you're doing it correct, but afterwards you should feel great. If you really despise going to the gym, you really hate it while you're there, and then afterwards you really feel like you just wasted your time, then something's wrong. Workout shouldn't be your priority, or at least not the workout you're doing or maybe the place you're doing them. You got to set yourself up a little differently. That's it. That's all I got to say for today. I hope everybody has a good week, and I'm going to keep reading, and we'll see what else I bring back out of this book. Like I said, within 48 hours, you know, I should be sharing something with somebody. So we'll see. Challenge accepted.